Hi, everybody. My name is Mohammed Elyas. I own a frame shop in New York called Big Apple Art Gallery and Framing. Today, we have a presentation by Tru Vue, and Joe Maxwell from Tru Vue is here to help us with that presentation. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you today?
Good, man. Nice to see you.
You too.
All right, Joe, tell me a little about yourself and your background, and then
Sure.
we can jump into the presentation.
Yeah, I've been at Tru Vue for 20 years. I started in a role in marketing. But what a lot of people don't know is that prior to that, I'm kind of cut from the same cloth as many of the framers out there. I was the chief broom and sweep officer in frame shops as a kid. So from the time I was 7 until I was 13, I wielded a broom and swept up chopping shavings and mat board shavings and all that. And then at 13, my family bought a distribution facility. So my first real paying job, when many other kids out there had paper routes, was I joined corner samples for our distribution business. And I got paid by the piece. So I was probably one of the few kids at 13 or 14 that was, making money by piece. But it was fun. I had a couple corner vices in my bedroom, and that's what I would do after I got done with my homework.
That's great.
And then I worked in a couple frame shops on the West Coast and eventually found my way to Tru Vue, where I've been for quite a few years. Really enjoy it.
What's your position with Tru Vue, Joe?
So I'm the vice president of sales for independent framing globally. So I manage all the relationships with our distributors, and I work with marketing to put all the programs together for our framers out there. So we put up a lot of attention together and a lot of focus on going out and talking to the framer audience, because you guys are key to our success and the market success. And we spend most of our efforts talking to the retailers.
Very cool. All right. So Tony says hi to us.
Hi, Tony.
And we have hi from Bedford, Nova Scotia. All right. So we're going to jump right into the presentation. We have a bunch of people here. If anybody has any questions on YouTube or Facebook, type in your question and I'll put it on the screen, and we'll get Joe to reply to them. Joe, go ahead. You want me to share your screen?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and share it again. I put minus. Oh, there you go. I got it. I got you.
Oh, great. Okay. So this is a presentation on product, some consumer research we did. We've got a short video in there that talks about, what Tru Vue is and what Tru Vue represents, but also kind of shows the process a little bit. So let's kind of start off with why Tru Vue, a little facts about consumers, facts on Tru Vue glass and acrylic, some cleaning and handling tips, and then resources and insights for framers out there, so that you can have some of the things that we put together on our website. So why Tru Vue? In 1946, we were founded as Chicago Dial. At that point, we were producing coverings for radio dials for automobiles, speedometer dials, that kind of thing. And then for the past 45 years, we've been manufacturing high-performance glazing products dedicated to the picture frame market. We also produce other anti-reflective products for other diverse markets. If you happen to visit New York City recently, they have a bunch of wayfinding kiosks where they can give real-time updates out to people that are walking on the streets. This was an initiative they put together after 9/11. We produce the screen coatings for those. So it's an
way. Is that for real?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's similar to our laminated product. Have you seen those?
Oh, absolutely. They give you free internet up to like a gigabit speed. It's really awesome.
Yeah, they're great. And they're looking to expand. They're in London now and New York City. They're looking at other markets, but in the future, that's a lot of the ways that we're going to communicate, because they can broadcast out to that entire neighborhood all at one time and inform, the people that are on the street that wouldn't have access to other ways to get information.
Man, that's amazing. So now I can point to one of those when a customer comes in and say, hey, that's the non-reflective glass right there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. I didn't know. That's cool.
Yeah, good. And then another why Tru Vue, we have established brand and customer service. We provide great marketing and sales support, industry education. Anytime we get the opportunity to get in front of a group of framers, we're going to jump all over that opportunity. Our website is filled with many tools, easy online ordering for marketing materials. You can also call our framers helpline, which gets answered by a live individual who can take your order, get it processed, get it shipped out to you. We have digital media tools that they can download. Framers can use as e-blasts out there in the marketplace, blogs to provide content, and then some consumer research out there as well. So we put together this short video. Some of it was for an internal process or internal presentation that we did, but we thought it would be good to share with the framing community as well. I'm just going to start it here and cross my finger.
Joe, I've never done a video share. I don't know if the sound can make it.
The revolutionary idea. The great moment.
I've never done a video share, Joe. The sound isn't so well, but we can upload it later.
Yeah, it's got a little lag.
Yeah.
There's something amazing inside. And
I go through all kinds of scenarios. I didn't imagine a video on the slideshow.
I don't know. 5 years ago, I don't think I would have been able to do that.
But you said you can make this available to us at some point, right? So
Yes,
you can do a video afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this talks about some of the other markets that we're in. We do navigation screens, that kind of thing.
Whether it's a rare artifact, a precious work of art, a life-saving X-ray on an electronic display, or just a treasured piece of personal history that holds sentimental value, Tru Vue's industry-leading changeovers and ultra-reflective glazing and conservation-grade UV protection eliminate the barrier between the observer and the object being observed. So how do we do it? Our innovative process begins with the substrate, the raw material.
So this is the fun part.
Oh, wow, look at that. Is this a manufacturing facility?
This is the facility in Minnesota that you do the anti-reflective coating at.
Oh, man, that's cool stuff.
Gases needed for the magnetron sputtering coating process to occur. Once at high vacuum, magnetic cathode targets apply controlled layers of highly polarized metal oxides onto the substrate surface.
So is that a spray, Joe? Is it spraying stuff on?
It's called sputter coating. So essentially, it's creating molecule size oxidized metals that get cast off of what we call a target, and that drifts down in a negative atmosphere. Those chambers are negative atmosphere, so they're vacuumed.
Oh, how cool is that?
Our coating is incredibly thin, so when the finished product is out of our hands, we play host to the next great painting, photo, or championship trophy. You'll wonder if there's anything covering it at all.
For over 70 years, Tru Vue Glazing has protected, enhanced, and beautified all things framed and displayed. It's the way great works were meant to be viewed, their brilliance and beauty laid bare before your eyes. You'll see nothing but the brightest, sharpest, truest version of what's inside, because that's what matters most.
All right.
So that machine is.
We all know.
Let me just move to the next page here.
That matters most.
That machine is about the size of a football field. So
No way, really? Yeah.
very long, but it moves very fast, and for the most part, from the beginning to the end, it's robot manufactured until the only people that close the box and tape the box closed is when human hands touch it. So, yeah. So we'll go into a little bit about facts about consumers, just a couple things we want to talk about. Top 3 factors that influence custom framing. So this is from an art and wall decor framing report. So the first is protect and preserve. The second is, am I getting a good value for my money? And the third is, this is a special piece, so I want to make sure I get it and preserve it for a long time. And then here are the top 3 factors helping consumers decide where to custom frame. So this is whether they choose to go to your shop or to a big box shop or whatever. It's the confidence and the expertise of the framer. It's the trust that the piece will be handled with care and the choice of high quality materials. So if you're doing all 3 of those, you're going to resonate with the consumer when they walk in the door. So preserve and protect. The number one reason is consumers want to preserve and protect. Our products are all 99%. So we surpassed this ISO standard of 97%. Anything less than 97% isn't really considered conservation framing. And it's vulnerable to damage from UV light. And that damage is cumulative. So you can't ever reverse it. Once it starts, it's only going to continue moving forward. So you got to start from the beginning and make sure that you're protecting it from the beginning of the presentation life. We've been offering a conservation grade glazing since the 1980s. All of our products surpass the 97% standard. And then our products are designed for permanence. So unless you try to scrub them off with a sanding wheel or you get temperatures in excess of 400 degrees, that coating is going to stay on that glass for the life of that glass. If you get in excess of 400 degrees, I think you got a little bit bigger problems than whether or not the glass protects. So,
Joe, I got a question.
Sure.
When somebody picks up a piece of artwork and put it in the car and leave it in the car for a few days,
Yep.
how hot does that get in the car?
It can get extremely hot. In fact, I know there was a court case that I was involved in California where that exact thing happened. And they left it in the back of a car with a sunroof, large sunroof, inside a plastic bag, and it created condensation inside the bag and then also within the frame.
Sure.
And so it started pulling some of the paint off the actual artwork. So it gets, it's kind of like why you don't lock your dogs or kids in the car. You want to make sure you're transitioning it out and putting it in a nice, cool area. So
Thank you.
Yep. So we'll get into the products now. In terms of glass, this is our glass lineup on the premium glass. Ultra Vue laminated. You can see kind of the good, better, best type scale we have here. The middle three products, we have all of these three products without conservation coating. So museum glass would just be an AR glass. Conservation reflection control would be just reflection control. And conservation clear would just be a premium clear glass. But again, all these products, with the exception of the Ultra Vue product, are 99% protective and will help sustain the length of the artwork that you're framing.
Joe, I got a question. This Ultra Vue laminated glass.
Yep.
What would a normal use be in a frame shop work?
So I'll switch over to that slide because it's an interesting product. So this is actually what you could consider two pieces of Ultra Vue glass, right?
Right.
That's got a laminate with a polyvinyl butate inner layer.
Okay.
And so it's wet laminated and then put into an autoclave to make it into one single piece. It's pretty hard to manufacture down to size, but at the end of the product section, we have an area where it talks about when you would use these products. So when we get there, I'll kind of point out this is where you would look at using Ultra Vue laminated.
Okay.
So then museum glass, which is the best glass choice for framing. Obviously, it's anti-reflective. It's UV protective, 2.5 mil substrate. It's got a smoother surface, easier to clean, and it's no ripple. So we've made some great improvements over this product in the last few years. And then Ultra Vue, similar to museum glass, but it just doesn't have the UV coating. It lacks the UV coating, but it does have a water white substrate. So water white versus the substrate that museum glass is a lower iron, which reduces that green shift that some consumers complain about. So this is an option for that consumer that's really concerned about colors being truly represented. So here's some examples of when to use these products. Obviously, a sentimental family photo, you want to protect it. You've got museum glass, conservation or reflection control or conservation clear. Detailed art in a deep shadow box. Obviously, museum glass works there. If it's not original art or it's not a concern for conservation, Ultra Vue works great. And those two products work extremely well because they allow more light to penetrate through the glass to illuminate what's going on inside the shadow box than any of the other products. That anti-reflective coating just allows much more light to pass through. So you can see it better. So then in terms of other products, a shallow design, you can use conservation, reflection control, Ultra Vue, or museum glass. But in this particular example, we're using the bottom one is where we would use Ultra Vue laminated. Extremely high value, something that could be damaged if the glass shatters. And then, you know, you need anti-reflective coating. So something of extremely high value. You know, one of the challenges with this product is it's a little bit heavier than most products. When you go back in history, museums used this product a lot until all of a sudden a company called Tru Vue came out with Optimum. And Optimum started because it's a much easier product to work with, you know, in terms of fabricating it down and in terms of, you know, just overall handling. It's lighter weight than laminated. But if you're trying to match a, you know, a show that's being hung up that was framed maybe 15 or 20 years ago, a lot of those might be a laminated product. And so you might, for consistency reasons, want to have a laminated product in that show.
I understand. But so in this case, I would just say, hey, look, use Optimum most of the time, right?
Yep. It's a great replacement. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thanks.
So then when we get to, you know, and obviously I am imagining everybody out there that's watching this does this every time somebody comes in. They're asking these probing questions. They're trying to define, you know, where it's going to be hanging. How big is it? Is it going to end up traveling somewhere? Is it replaceable? Is it a pastel or a charcoal? You know, what are the components that make up this piece that you want to be framed? But those are the defining questions that you're going to be able to help steer the consumer to the right choice. And you know, this is why they come to you, right? They're coming to you because you're the expert. They're coming to you for your advice and your opinions. And consumer research says, hey, when a framer gives the opinion to the consumer that you should do X, more than 75% of the times that consumer is going to take that suggestion. So asking these probing questions and then getting them to the right product is really the job of the person behind the counter. And I know, you know, everybody does a fabulous job on that. And it's one of those things that consumers respect custom framers for. So in terms of acrylic choices, this is exactly the way it's laid out on our website too. So if you want to see them all together, you can go on and look and see which attributes line up with these products. But we've got all acrylic products, True Life, Optimum Museum, regular Optimum, Conservation Reflection Control, and Conservation Clear. And we can go into a little detail about a few of these products right now. So Optimum Museum is the best choice for framing, right? It provides UV protection, it's lightweight, it's anti-shatter, and it's anti-static. So one of the other big benefits of this is you can frame a pastel with this, right? You know, years ago when you tried to place acrylic on a pastel, you would get a mirror image of that pastel over a short period of time just due to the static. And this static, this anti-static property is for the life of this piece. So it's not like some of those products that you clean with and it reduces the static, but then eventually the static builds back up. This Optimum will never pick up a static charge again once it's been put through our process. The other benefit to this being anti-scratch is it cleans like glass. So you don't have to have any special cleaner. So, you know, if you're framing for a high traffic area in a high-end hotel or a high-end office building, you may want to consider Optimum because you just don't know what that cleaning crew is going to be cleaning with. And if they clean with something that's you know, harmful to glass or harmful to regular acrylic, it may show its wear over time. So again, best choice, Optimum Museum acrylic, 99% UV protection, anti-reflective, anti-static, abrasion resistant, and shatter resistant. So it provides safety. We came out last year with some smaller sizes. We recognize that this is a premium product and that oftentimes in the past, if you wanted to buy this, you might have to buy it in a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet and you cut off the piece that you want to use. And then you've got hundreds of dollars invested in inventory. So we decided to come out with this, and our distribution partners are selling these now in single lights. So if you have a 14 by 18 to frame, no more buying 32 square feet. You can buy a 16 by 20, cut it down, and get that job framed and get the consumer what they want. So easy to price, easier concern about getting rid of inventory, and then, you know, less fabrication and offcuts.
Joe, I keep all my Optimum offcuts in my office.
It's like gold.
Yeah.
So here's a non-conservation choice for Optimum. It's pretty close in price to Optimum. So oftentimes we see people that ask about this, think it's an option. Then they ask about what the change in price to Optimum Museum acrylic is, and they just go with the Museum because it's, got the UV protection as well. It's got all the same properties as regular Optimum Museum acrylic. It just doesn't have the UV protection level. And then this is a new one that we came out with in, I think the last 5 or 6 years. So this is what could be considered a single side Optimum, if you think about it that way. And this product we made to face mount to or to direct print to the backside. So when you face mount to it, it provides that anti-reflective surface. So you can see what's face mounted to it or what's printed to the backside of it.
Joe, if I use this product, do I face mount to the optical coating side or to the side that's not optical coated?
The second surface, so the side that's not optically coated.
Okay.
So in glass, you're talking about if the viewer is here looking this way.
Yeah.
This is the first surface.
Yeah.
This would be the second surface. So you mount it. You would mount or you would print to the second surface.
Second surface.
Yep. So here's some examples on when to use the acrylic products. A pastel artwork. Obviously, you want to use something that's anti-static, so Optimum acrylic or Optimum Museum acrylic. Kids artwork that'll hang in their room or a high traffic area. Any one of the acrylics would work great. Conservation reflection control, conservation clear, or either one of the Optimums would work good there. It's up to your consumer at that point. A heavy shadow box filled with collectibles. Obviously, you want to protect them, so it's Optimum Museum acrylic. And then an oversized print that's going to be hung, that's going to be face mounted. That's really the perfect opportunity for True Life. And again, cleans like glass. You don't have to worry about what might be happening if it's a high traffic area or if you have a cleaning crew that comes in and out to manage the cleanliness of that location.
So Joe, I can use this in a framing job too, the True Life acrylic?
You can use it as a face mount product in you could throw a frame around this. What it won't do is it won't give you the same anti-reflective qualities of Optimum.
Because it's only one-sided.
Because it's only one-sided, so you end up, weirdly enough, getting reflections from that second surface.
I see.
So it doesn't really save you anything.
Right.
Example. So here's another. We had this project number 5 was a piece that we framed for the West Coast Art and Frame Show on our 70th anniversary. It was huge. And we use Optimum Museum acrylic, obviously, because it looks great, but it's also lightweight because it was almost a full sheet of, I think, 7296. So this was the 4.5 mil product. It was already heavy enough. And if we would have put glass in there, it would have been very heavy. And then at the bottom, you've got an original oil painting. And a lot of museums now are using glazing to cover their paintings because it helps reduce on security staff, right? So they're able to protect it passively and not have to have people there guarding it. And it still gives a nice clarity and, an ability to see the artwork.
Sure.
Okay, so cleaning and handling. We'll go through these next slides, but I'll say in advance that on our Tru Vue YouTube page, we've got videos on cleaning and handling of glass products and cleaning and handling of Optimum Museum acrylic products. Videos that we put up. John Raines is the guy that's doing the work and showing how to do it. So those you can go on and look. But obviously cleaning here is all of our products are clean and ready to use right out of the box. If spot cleaning is necessary, non-abrasive surface, take a clean microfiber cloth. We give those away for free on our website. Use an ammonia-free cleaner. And I'll stress here, we only say ammonia-free because it's for the conservation purposes, right? You don't want ammonia to off-gas into the art, and it may linger on the glass. It won't harm the coatings at all. It's just purely from a conservation side of things. You want an ammonia-free cleaner. Obviously, clean in a circular motion. These steps work for Optimum because it cleans like glass. And then all other acrylics, you would want to use an acrylic cleaner or an acrylic polisher.
Joe, why in a circular motion?
Because it helps spread out the moisture and evaporate quicker. So, if you go back and forth, it kind of does the same thing. But if you're just doing a spot, you want to keep that, as small as possible because why clean more real estate than you need to?
Sure.
So glass, recommend wearing gloves. You know, if you possibly can cut it. Don't bother cleaning it and use it. But you want to score on the side opposite to the UV coating, right? Because the UV coating is bonded to that glass. But it's also another layer on that glass that may send your score kind of off to one side. So you want to score on the opposite side. For a detailed look at that, check out our handling video on our YouTube channel. And then for acrylic, obviously cotton gloves. Obviously, all of our acrylic come with a protective film. The best way I've seen to have this come off is you take a little corner of it up and you roll it around a poster tube and use that tube to create leverage to peel those off. The great thing about Optimum is once you peel it off, it's anti-static. So you're not gonna roll off that protective film and then every small piece of dust in your shop isn't gonna leap right on top of that piece of acrylic because it's anti-static. Okay, so our tools and research, you can go online or you can call our framers helpline. But online, we provide all of these point of purchase tools. We provide gloves, microfiber cloths, stickers for the back of the artwork, downloadable e-blast templates, all those kind of things for frame shops out there to help promote our products and also to help promote custom framing out there to consumers. But these are the current selection of point of purchase displays that we have. So if your store doesn't have one of these, please go on and order one or call the helpline and order one. But this is why we started producing these. And the number one reason that consumers weren't purchasing museum glass or aren't purchasing museum glass is because they're not getting shown as an option. And a lot of people out there are saying, well, I do all the time. And I absolutely agree. There are a lot of folks out there that do all the time. But if you look on our blog, Voice of the Customer, we did one of those one-way mirror market research programs where we brought in a frequent framing consumer. So had a table full of, I think it was 12 of them and a mediator. Mm-hmm. And that mediator went and said, hey, if you could buy this glass, and showed them one of these point of purchase displays, would you? And half of that group said, well, I didn't even know there were choices. I didn't know there were other types available. So at the very least, have something on the counter that shows it to at least prompt the question. But what we saw was 58, we'll kind of go through the numbers in a second, but 58% of consumers would choose museum glass or a premium glazing if it was offered, yet only 3.5% of consumers were seeing it. Now, this is from 2014. We haven't updated those numbers, so that 3.5 has probably jumped a bit, but there's no way it's 58%. So, if 58% of consumers say it's 10%, that's still 48% of consumers that are walking out less than satisfied. So just make sure that you're putting it out, making sure it's visible to the consumer. They can opt out, right? They can say, no, I don't want to, but this will give them the ability to at least say, I saw the options and I took my choice.
Joe, what's the best way to do that without looking so salesman-y?
So here's the process we came up with. We went out and interviewed a lot of frame shops that are having tremendous success with museum glass and premium glazing. And we said, I'm going to back up to this slide in a second. This is exactly answers your question. We said, hey, how do you guys do this? What do you do? How do you sell 25% of the frame jobs that you sell museum glass? And this is what they said. They said, I hold up the display or I show them the display. I tell them this one protects against UV rays. This one protects against UV rays and is amazing clarity. And then you just let them decide what they want. You put those options in front of the consumer and let them make the choice. Obviously I would think a lot of people do this already, quote it as a total price instead of an upgrade. But when you think about upgrades, this is what the consumer research told us. Mm-hmm. It said at a cost of $150 more for a 16 by 20. So your 16 by 20 frame job costs X, and at X plus 150, 41% of the people still agreed to buy that frame job to get museum glass on there. And that's, 2 square feet. So your cost is, $30, right? So pretty good profit. At $75, almost 60% agreed. So as long as you're putting it in there and the price makes sense, consumers will be all over it, and it'll drive significant additional profit to your shop.
Sure. Joe, I got a message from John Rains.
Yeah.
He's watching this as I'm watching this as I'm in Starbucks getting a latte, multitasking.
That's nice. His ears must have been burning because he heard me talk about his videos.
Nice, John.
So then this is the last page before we can kind of turn it over for questions, but we put a significant amount of effort to our Tru Vue supports page. When you know, the COVID pandemic started, we decided to transition our marketing team from talking about our products to putting resources out there for framers to help us through this period. We've got a robust collection of that information, but then we've also got tools in there to kind of help with frame shops coming out. So I know they've recently put a blog and information together on what are some of the tools that you can use to make by appointment framing. So if your state has a restriction on how many people are allowed in your retail store, here's a way that you can get around that so that you know that you're giving opportunities for your consumer to come in at a specified time. If they're nervous, they know they're going to come in and get direct attention and they won't be in the store for as long, too long. All that can be done on apps and those kind of things. So, please, I ask you guys to take a look at that page. It's a tremendous amount of tools our marketing team put together that we think are pretty valuable for the market.
Great, Joe. Thank you.
Sure.
I had a couple of questions in the group.
Yeah.
One of the questions was, so somebody wants to be a rebel and they want to cut the glass from the coated side. What is why does the instruction say cut this side and not the other side?
Yeah. So if you cut the coated side, because it goes through the oven and that's a secondary layer on the glass.
Yeah.
And while it is truly bonded to that glass and will last the lifetime of that pane of glass, it will create some disturbance between the cutting wheel and the actual surface of the glass, right?
Okay.
So what you may end up doing is, if all of you remember when you're cutting with a Fletcher and you might get a flat spot in your wheel, or you skip a spot and it creates a gap in your score, and you try to create the crack to run up that score, and it gets to that gap and all of a sudden veers off into another way, and you have ruined your piece of glass because it's now looks like a diagonal. Then that's why we suggest cutting on the uncoated side.
I get that.
On museum glass, on the anti-reflective products, you can coat on the anti-reflective coating. It's just the UV coating that determines.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So Ultra Vue, either side.
Ultra Vue, either side. Okay, Lynn's got a question. She says she's curious if you will have difficulty getting acrylic with everyone using acrylic for sneeze guards.
Yeah, so this is a great question because it's come up quite a lot lately. We have a great relationship with our vendor. The product that most often is used for sneeze guards and protective barriers is a clear acrylic. We have a really good line of supply. We've given our vendor really good forecast, and we're working through that. It's amazing how much product is going into that application. It will start to slow as retail stores open up and come up with a solution for that. But right now we feel like we're in a pretty good spot with the good relationship that we have with our vendor. Now, if all of a sudden somebody comes up and says, hey, I want a brand new size, well, that wasn't in our forecast. That might be an extended lead time. But for the historical products that we sold and the historical volume that we had, we think we're in a pretty comfortable spot.
Okay, so that means the price is going to shoot up, right? The regular acrylic, the price is shot up already.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I haven't seen it across the board. I've seen spots for it. Yeah, so it probably will. I think that remains to shake out a little bit. I think everybody's a little concerned about being called out for gouging. The acrylic market is an offshoot of the oil market, and everybody knows that oil's been down, so it's kind of hard to work those things in opposite, right? Generally, they travel together up, and they generally travel together down. So I think this is an area where they'll be a little bit contrary. Probably at some point, price will go up a little bit, but right now we don't see that too much on the horizon.
That's great. One of the other questions that I had was, between the Tru Vue and the museum glass, do they look exactly the same?
You mean optimum?
the Optimum, right? The Optimum and the museum glass. Do they look exactly the same without the the acrylic versus glass and all the other stuff?
Yeah, if you kind of discount the substrate differences, right? Like acrylic's a little bit yellower and glass is a little bit greener. They look very, very similar. Yeah, the reflected colors about the same, and because they transmit the same color, they'll perform very similarly. If you put them side by side or have a row of museum glass pieces and then one piece of acrylic, depending upon size, you probably wouldn't notice. If it was huge, you might notice a little bit because acrylic looks just a little bit different in big frames.
Sure. Joe, I think that's it. I don't have any more questions. Do you have anything to say at the end?
No, I just, hey, thanks anybody for signing on. I appreciate you taking your Friday with me, and good luck on the reopenings for the states that are reopenings. The other states, it's short to come, so good luck with getting those things rolling. And if you need anything from Tru Vue at all, feel free to call our helpline or feel free to reach out to us via our inbox, which you can find on our website.
Perfect. Joe, thank you very much, and we appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.